If you've been an anime superfan for as long as I have, then at one point you've probably thought to yourself, would character A or character B win in a super death match? I've imagined these kinds of deathmatch scenarios plenty of times, but the one that's interested me the most is definitely My Hero Academia versus Jojo. Mid versus mid, peak versus peak, peak versus mid, or mid versus peak. Those questions will finally be answered tonight. So first, let's take a moment to define who is this Jojo, and who is this hero of mine? Well, there are many Jojos in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure franchise, so we have to figure out who of those is going to be our main Jojo. There's Jonathan, the first Jojo, but he only appears in one part. Then there are Jolene and Giorno, who are some of the best Jojos, but again they only appear in one part each. I think we can definitively say that Jotaro from Stardust Crusaders, the third part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, is Jojo. He may not be the first Jojo, but almost everything that happens during Part 3 and beyond revolves around him. In Stardust Crusaders, he and his stand were the only ones powerful enough to defeat Dio, who is the main villain of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. In the fourth part of JoJo, Diamond is Unbreakable, Jotaro traveled to Morio and met Josuke and his buddies, and then he helped them defeat a crazy serial killer. In the fifth part of JoJo Golden Wind, Jotaro was the one who sent Koichi to Italy to investigate Dio's omnipotent son, and in Stone Ocean, the sixth part of JoJo, Jotaro was the one of the two people who created Jolene, and he also appeared in the part to help Jolene. Then there's also part 7 and 8, but I haven't read those yet, so no spoilers. So we've established who our Jojo is. Now, who is My Hero? Well, My Hero Academia is about only one person, not a bloodline. It's the story of Midoriya Izuku. So given that Izuku, or Deku, is our main character, I think it's fair to call him the representative of My Hero Academia. Now, I unfortunately am not up to date with My Hero, so Deku may have some abilities that I don't know about, but I hope that what I do know is enough for us to do a fairly accurate scenario. So we have our fighters, now let's talk about their abilities. Jotaro has a stand, which is an ability that's a physical manifestation of his soul. His stand is called Star Platinum, named after the star card in the tarot deck. Star Platinum is one of the strongest stands in all of JoJo. It can move faster than the speed of light and has immense strength. One of his special moves is the Aura Aura Punching Barrage, which just consists of Star Platinum punching an enemy using both hands at lightning speed while shouting Aura Aura Aura. The real kicker though is that Star Platinum can stop time. Jotaro learned this during his fight against Dio at the end of Stardust Crusaders, but after this, he never really practiced his time stop. At his prime, Jotaro could only stop time for about 5 seconds, but throughout the series, we only ever see him stop time for about 2 seconds. Still, those 2 seconds are more than enough to absolutely pummel an enemy with a punching barrage, as we saw at the end of Diamond is Unbreakable. However, this final scene of Diamond is Unbreakable ironically also showed us that this punching barrage isn't always lethal. Even if Jotaro stops time and absolutely beats his enemy during stop time, his enemy might survive, especially if they're the strong type. On the topic of shortcomings, it's also important to mention that Star Platinum only has a range of about 2 meters. A great disadvantage that Deku will have during this fight is that he won't be able to see Star Platinum, as non-stand users cannot see stands. However, Deku doesn't really need to see Star Platinum. Its range is so short that Jotaro will have to be around whenever Star Platinum wants to attack, so as long as Deku knows that Jotaro's immediate vicinity is very, very dangerous, he should be okay. Star Platinum does have one move though that could extend his range a little bit. This move is called Star Finger, and it involves Star Platinum extending and subsequently shooting his finger at a target. Still, this move only has a range of about 1 or 2 meters itself, so it won't be helping much, and the move really isn't used that much throughout the series anyway. It's not that popular. Now, there's Deku. Like I said, Deku is at an immediate disadvantage because he can't do anything against Star Platinum's time stop, and he can't even see Star Platinum to begin with. But Deku isn't completely helpless in this fight. The My Hero Academia characters have quirks, which are basically genetic mutations that gives them superpowers, and Deku has the quirk One for All, which at its best is one of the strongest quirks in the My Hero Academia universe. Deku's main attack with One for All is the Smash, and its many variations. The Smash can be performed by any of Deku's limbs, and it relies on force. This force can create powerful gusts of wind, or deal direct damage upon contact between Deku and an opponent. Deku also recently gained this ability called Black Whip, which allows him to unleash a long black whip from his body and use it to sling around. Think of it like Spider-Man's web slinging. This is because One for All is a quirk that's passed on through generations, and each generation that has it adds something to the quirk. And now Deku, the latest generation of One for All, is starting to learn all the previous moves that the previous generations had made. But Deku does have some moves of his own. Some of them are inspired by his hero All Might, who was the previous holder of One for All, but they're still his own thing. And one of his most powerful moves is called the Delaware Detroit Smash, which uses an insane amount of power. And that topic of using power is an important one. Quirks are funny little things, especially in the case of Deku's One for All. Throughout the series, we see that quirk users suffer quite a bit of damage upon prolonged or intense quirk usage, and this is especially prominent in Deku. You see, Deku was born quirkless, and he did not receive his quirk until right before he entered high school. Having to retrain his entire body to accommodate a new quirk at such a late age was already hard enough, but remember that this is one for all, one of the strongest and most powerful quirks in the world. Deku has had to undergo some immense physical and emotional training to be able to use his power at all, and even now he can't use it at 100% without seriously hurting himself. Still, even his more moderate uses of power do heavy damage, especially if they make contact with a quirkless human like Jotaro. And there's another thing that'll help Deku despite his shortcomings, and that is his emotional strength. This is something that is super important for both Deku and Jotaro. Both of these characters had to fight some of the most ridiculous villains in their universes, and both times Deku and Jotaro came out on top. When Jotaro fought Dio, he was doing so after 4 of his closest allies had been killed, with 2 of those allies having been his closest friend and his grandfather respectively. All the odds were stacked against Jotaro, as he hadn't yet realized his time stop ability, and Dio had practically mastered his. Jotaro had to use his head. He had to be crafty. Seeing that Dio liked to use knives, Jotaro brilliantly decided to stuff his hat with an outfit with books and magazines in case Dio tried to stab him. And when Dio thought he'd killed Jotaro and wanted to make sure that Jotaro was dead, Jotaro decided to stop his own heart just to deceive Dio. And stopping his heart was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to Jotaro's physical injuries during this fight. During this fight, Jotaro was stabbed, punched, launched to the ground from the sky, and almost crushed with a road roller. Jotaro experienced insane amounts of broken bones and blood loss, but despite all of that, he kept fighting. He kept fighting because he was on the noble crusade to stop Dio, save his mom, and protect humanity. And despite all his noble causes, Jotaro was also just extremely, extremely angry, and when Jotaro gets angry, there's nearly nothing that can stop him. Deku is very similar in all these ways. Like Jotaro, he's also super smart and very crafty. Ever since he was little, Deku has had the habit of studying every hero he hears about. He learns about their quirk, how they use it, what moves the hero has, and so on. He memorizes these things not just as a hobby, but to teach himself what works and what doesn't work, so that he can become a great hero, using the knowledge that he's learned. Without a doubt, Deku will have studied Jotaro and his many battles prior to this fight. Deku may not be able to see Star Platinum, but he knows it's there, and he knows what it can do. Deku's also great with gadgets, thanks to the support course at his high school that can make game-changing gear for him. The support course's arsenal is borderline endless. It's like the school gave him a blank check to do whatever they wanted with. Deku's been able to make tons of improvements to his gear that have helped him focus and harness his quirk. And like Jotaro, Deku never ever gives up. Jotaro was once the underdog, and so was Deku. It's just that in many ways Deku remains an underdog still, but there's never been a fight that he's given up on, ever. Deku will push himself to the ends of the earth. He'll absolutely ruin his body, and he'd probably kill himself if it meant saving somebody else. There's been countless times when he made his quirk do something that it wasn't supposed to do, because he pushed himself beyond its boundaries, so that he could defeat an unbeatable opponent and save an innocent life. Now, Deku and Jotaro aren't really fighting for a noble crusade this time, but still, we'll give them the willpower that they would have if they were. So now we know a little bit more about our tributes, and now, they fight. Of course, this fight begins with a standoff. Deku and Ju are facing off in a city in Japan. They eye each other, both slightly terrified of what the other can do, but neither of them showing any sign of fear, especially Jotaro. When he decides he's waited enough, Jotaro makes his move, instantly using his ace. Time stop, the best way to end the battle quickly. Star Platinum's punching barrage pummels Deku and sends him flying. Of course, this first barrage is non-lethal against an opponent as formidable as Deku. Now Deku knows exactly what just hit him, and being the smart guy that he is, he knows that the best thing he can do right now is to book it. He's a true Joestar in that sense. Deku can use either Black Whip or a 1-for-all created air gust to zip out of danger in an instant. Let's pretend there's a building right there that blocks Deku. Star Platinum is extremely fast as well, but Jotaro has no idea where Deku is, and Star Platinum's range is extremely short, so there's not much that can be done to safely locate Deku. This allows Deku to catch his breath and perform a sneak attack. Deku zooms towards Jotaro, and before Jotaro or Star Platinum can even see what's happened, Deku hits Jotaro with a Detroit Smash. Again, this is non-lethal against someone like Jotaro, but Jotaro is hurt, and he's been caught off guard, so Deku takes the opportunity to get in a combo of attacks. But it's not long before Jotaro is back on his feet. He unleashes Star Platinum. But Deku stopped his suit with spikes after the last punching barrage, having learned the tactic from studying Jotaro's fight with Dio, and having gotten the spikes from his friends in the support course. Star Platinum is badly hurt after punching the spikes, and so is Jotaro. Deku takes the opportunity and unleashes a Delaware Detroit Smash, 1-for-all at 1,000,000%. Jotaro is down, and Deku zooms at him once again, unleashing yet another relentless combo of 1-for-all attacks. But again, Jotaro regains control and unleashes Star Platinum to defend himself, sending Deku flying. Now the two are far apart, facing each other. They're both severely injured, and whoever makes the next move will surely be the victor. Jotaro cannot handle another 1,000,000% one-for-all attack, but Deku won't be getting away with another spike trick. Jotaro is ready for it at this point, and anyway, Star Platinum won't be aiming for the body this time. So, who is going to win? It has to be Jotaro. When it's a match point scenario like this, when Jotaro will take no risks. He stops time and Star Platinum beats the living daylights out of a weakened Deku, punching him in the head, crushing his skull, and killing him instantly. The battle is over. Jotaro has won. As strong as Deku was, Star Platinum and its time stop remained unmatched. But with that said, I have to say that I can't see this fight ever even happening in the first place. Deku and Jotaro are both great, and if they ever met each other, I'm sure there'd be nothing but mutual respect between them. Even in his edgiest phase, Jotaro was able to make friends, especially with people who had a power and soul similar to his. Like I said, Deku and Jotaro are super similar when it comes to their characters and motivations and determination, and there'd be no reason for them to be anything but allies. If an older version of Jotaro met Deku, he would probably be something of a father figure to Deku, just like he was to Josuke in the Mario gang. And if Jotaro were concerned about Deku's insane abilities, he'd just send Koichi to UA to investigate, like he did in Part 5. And if you think that anything other than an unbreakable friendship would spawn between Koichi and Deku, then you're watching the wrong shows. These two kids are benevolence personified, and they'd be instant buddies. Ultimately, both of these characters are amazing, and even though one of them is more powerful than the other, it's not by much. Both of these characters are great, with their own powers and their own weaknesses, and they would make a killer team.